sometime. Hey, I'm Dale. Yes. There. Okay. We'll start there. I'm Dale. Hi. Just in case. So, I wanted to say that today there are coloring pages over where Sarah is, and she just happens to be there, so we're not like walking her in. But for any of the kids, you know, I hear kids, so if you want to take them yourself over there and have them color, you know, whatever, they're there. So, or if anyone just kind of feels the need to go over there and color a Thanksgiving picture, go right ahead. So today we are gathering to remember people who have been light to us. Some of us may use words like they showed God to us. Some of us might say they showed us love, grace. They saw us, you know, they respected us. They brought justice in the world. There's all kinds of ways that people have influenced us in the world. So we're going to give thanks for them today. And I'm going to invite you to stand. Let's just stand while we stand. And if you don't want to, don't. But if you do, stand up.
Of justice and joy.
So I just realized, I don't know why, but I wasn't reading much before, but it's really dark in here. I need my reading glasses, so talk among yourselves for a minute. I sat through all the verses of that song. You didn't think about it. All right. I want to read Matthew 5. And this is 18-point font, and I still need these. All right, yes, wow. Right. So, Matthew 5, verses 14 to 16. It starts by saying, here's another way to put it. You're here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? Jesus said. And he said, I'm putting you on a light stand. And now that I put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God. So I want to ask you a non-rhetorical question today. Usually I don't ask rhetorical questions, so I want you to answer this. So when you think of a saint, I say that word, what thoughts and images come to your mind? Just quick popcorn.
Mother Teresa.
St. Peter.
Mother Teresa, St. Peter.
Catholic Church.
The Catholic Church.
St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's.
Sacrificing.
What's that?
Sacrifices.
Sacrifices.
Football player.
Football player. All right.
I kept that one, so.
Anybody else? What pictures? Anything
Unselfish.
unselfish?
Yeah.
Well, as you have said, a couple of you, we tend to think of the group of canonized Roman Catholic saints. And then we often think of someone who is, when we think of that list, then we often think of someone who is otherworldly, kind of barely human, beyond our comprehension. And in depictions of a saint, the person might have a halo, right, or a crown on their head like Superman's cape, showing that they are extraordinary. They are someone who radiates piety, divinity. But if you read their stories, many survived terrible things like fire or illness. Others died by awful ways, many being martyred, tortured. Some started organizations like charities, some have churches named after them, or schools, or public housing like the Thank Cabrini Green in Chicago, named after, I forgot the first name, but anyway. But in most instances in the stories of their lives, you will find ordinary people who have a heart for others and an open heart to God. Now, several years ago, it's been 20-some years ago, a late friend of mine got me this for Christmas. This is Saint Therese. Everybody knows the story, but Therese was the youngest of 9 children, 5 of whom survived childhood. And after her mother died of breast cancer in 1877, Therese moved with her family to Lisieux. And all 4 of her elder sisters became nuns. And at the age of 15, she entered the Carmelite convent at Lisieux, having been refused admission a year earlier. Although she suffered from depression and what they called scruples. Yes, I know. It's a causeless feeling of guilt. Oh, you've been there. And it's just because she was in the church. But anyway, and at the end, she had religious doubts. But she kept the rule of her community even through all of that. Before her death from tuberculosis, she acknowledged that because of her difficult nature, not one day had ever passed without a struggle. So I'm going to put this picture of Therese over here. Therese loved nature, and she often used the imagery of nature to explain how the divine presence is everywhere, how everything is connected in God's loving care. Therese saw herself as, she is often known as the little flower of Jesus, which is why there are flowers in her hand. Because she was just like she thought that she was just like the simple wildflowers in forests and fields, unnoticed by the greater population, yet growing and giving glory to God. Therese did not see herself as a brilliant rose or an elegant lily, but simply as a small wildflower. And it's how she understood herself before God, simple and hidden, but blooming where God had planted her. And there are others, like St. Dorcas, or often known as Tabitha. Dorcas was an early disciple of Jesus, mentioned in the book of Acts, chapter 9. She lived in the port city of Joppa. Today, that city is absorbed by the bigger city of Tel Aviv. And the book of Acts describes her as being known for her good works and acts of mercy, and for sewing clothes for the poor. Now, in the Bible itself, there are many people who just have a quick mention in different stories. You probably, if you read the Bible at all, you come across those names that are just mentioned and never mentioned again, and then they have just a small contribution. They are not the Abrahams and the Pauls and the Josephs and the Marys. So among them are people like Bezalel and Oholiab. They were among the artists who worked with their hands. And their story is in a place that talks about Moses saying to the Israelites, "See, the Lord has chosen Bezalel," and they also didn't have good names that I could pronounce. Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, and he has filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, with understanding, with knowledge, and with all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work in gold and silver and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of artistic crafts. And he's given both him and Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, we'll call him Ahi, of the tribe of Dan, the ability to teach others. So he has filled them with skill to do all kinds of work as engravers and designers and embroiderers in blue and purple and scarlet yarn. And then there is also Onesiphorus. I practiced this earlier, but Onesiphorus. Let's just say that. We'll call him Oni. But he was mentioned once because he was a help to Paul, to the Apostle Paul in the New Testament. And Paul wrote, "May the Lord show mercy to the household of Oni, because he often refreshed me and was not ashamed of my chains. On the contrary, when he was in Rome, he searched hard for me until he found me." And there's Asaph and the sons of Korah. Both Asaph and the sons of Korah played a huge part, not only in writing, but leading Israel in musical worship. You may have noticed their names above some psalms. They wrote many of the songs, like Psalm 42, where it tells us that as the deer pants for water, and Psalm 84, that better is one day in your courts than any other day anywhere else, and Psalm 80 and 88. And then there's Micah, who I was going to have some fun with. He's back there. But Micah is a prophet so unknown that your computer will give you the red squiggly line under his name. So he prophesied during the time of King Ahab, and what a thankless job that was. Ahab was called a wicked king. So it was a demeaning job that must have been very, very rough. It's obvious that Micah never prophesies anything good for Ahab, because the terrible king says so plainly when he writes about it. And there are many more. Those are just some. And they were people living ordinary lives, really, that got in this story. They were people who in some way made a difference to someone. They cared for people in the world around them. They were artists and craftspeople. They were compassionate. They were people who did what was right for the poor and outcasts. They are people who believe that the divine is at work, and they knew that they were part of that work on some level. So saints, when we talk about them, are too often defined only by the people of the Roman Catholic Church, that they elevate through a long process to the level of sainthood, unless you're Pope John Paul. But that does not capture the whole picture of who God shines through into the world. And there's nothing, I'm not being negative about the list of canonized saints. I'm just saying that there's more to it. It doesn't capture all of the diversity of who that could be. So if we stick to the official list, too many people are left off of it, is what I'm trying to say. But even the Roman Catholic Church recognizes that all of us are saints. In the official dictionary definition, a saint is someone who is set apart for some special purpose. So on All Saints, which is actually November 1st, the church around the world, different churches recognize that all of us are saints. And I want to push that a little further and say every person is potentially a saint. We could go further and just say that every person is. I'll leave that to your imaginations. Everyone, by being human and made in the image of God, bears that image to others and to the rest of the world. Too often, people aren't aware that they have been set apart. Too often, they are not aware that they have some kind of purpose to impact this earth. Too often, there are forces and circumstances that cloud that reality for different folks. There are beloved children of God who don't know that they are loved or children of God because maybe no one ever told them. Maybe the circumstances of their life has not convinced them. Maybe no one ever took the effort to see them, to acknowledge them, to respect them or treat them with dignity. And therefore they have a hard time believing that they are special when we use that word. And you may, like me, feel inadequate or have to fight against the voices that drown out God's voice. It's the way I understand it. And drown out that larger voice in my life trying to convince you that you are not worthy or that you are inadequate. There are lots of other competing voices that tell us otherwise. And there are forces and circumstances that make us feel like there's no hope, like many people feel after Tuesday in this week. We're going to talk about that a little later. But at times, people may feel like there's no use in trying to do any good in the world because anti-love has taken over. So we doubt that we have any impact. What can I do? We hold out for a hero. I should have sang that song, but we hold out for a hero to come along with a super red cape or a halo. And even people like Mother Teresa, some of you mentioned her, doubted and struggled. She had ordinary human life of doubt in her faith. Her given name was Agnes. That's the English derivative of her name. She was the youngest child of her parents. Her father, who was involved in Albanian community politics in Ottoman Macedonia, died in 1919 when she was 8 years old. So this ordinary girl, born at the early part of the last century, lived an intentional life of love and service, and her efforts were multiplied many, many times. Even Agnes, St. Teresa, suffered the, as I said, doubt and struggle over faith and her belief in God. So she was a person like you and me. Saints, even the heavy-hitting ones, are not superhuman. They're not sinless people. They're not necessarily the most powerful people. I want to read to you a passage from Revelation 7. It says this. After this is part of the vision that the person who wrote the book was seeing of well, I'll just let the scene unfold. After this, but that's who's saying, I looked, and behold, a great multitude which no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes, and all peoples, and every tongue, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, Salvation belongs to our God who sits upon the throne and to the Lamb. And all the angels stood around the throne and round the elders and the four living creatures, and they fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and ever. And then one of the elders addressed me, says to John here, he says, so who are these clothed in white robes? And where had they come from? And then John says to him, I don't know. Because he says, Sir, you know. It's just a way to pass the buck. And he said to me, John says, these are they who have come out of the great tribulation. Some passages say the great ordeal. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So one of the elders, as I just brought up in John's vision Revelation, asks him, who are all these people robed in white and where have they come from? And John shrugs his shoulders and the elder answers his own question. They are not necessarily the best and brightest, the most sophisticated, or the most successful, but instead they are the ones who have come out of the great ordeal. I like that word. Out of the great ordeal, they have come out of a life of trials and temptations and distractions and interruptions and political upheaval and hate. Although being pushed and pulled and sometimes pulverized by earthly events, job loss, marital problems, conflict with family and neighbors. They've done their best to live a life of love and intentionality and awareness. They've been bloodied by life, but then washed clean by the Christ. They're profoundly connected people, connected to the divine, to God, and to others. Saints, are you? Real people, flesh and blood people, living and loving people. Remember, the most ordinary person possesses the most extraordinary gift: love, kindness, hope, and faith. And you use those simple and awful and difficult things to bring light into the world in the most simple ways. We are able to reflect and transmit the light of the Christ as the seasons and light in our lives and in the world change, bringing to other people a constantly changing and awe-inspiring revelation or picture, shall we say, of who God is. Whether it's morning or noon or night or during sunlight or a cloudy day when we need our reading glasses, the light gets through in ever-changing magnificence. I am going to read this quote that is on the table, and I'm going to go ahead and point out that Krista Fletcher brought it, and she actually created the design of that, right? So it's from Amanda Gorman, who says, "For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." So God declares that we are chosen to tell all the world the good news. I will give you as a light to the nations, that my salvation may reach the ends of the earth. However you want to understand that and put it into practice in your everyday life, it is an awesome purpose. And you do that in more ways than you are ever aware. someone else shared this quote with me, someone shared this quote with me this week that said, "Stop waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel and start lighting up the tunnel." And pastor, author, troublemaker Nadia Bolz-Weber said, good troublemaker, said, in the form of this question, "Wondering what to do today, Christ follower? Be yourself. Be the wonderful, amazing person you are." And I give thanks to God for every one of you, all the people who shine light into the world in all kinds of ways. We're promised it'll never go out. So I have some things to share with you, in the way of information for the community as a whole, and some opportunities for you to shine that light even this week pretty quickly. First of all, Trent Koch. Trent is part of the Harmony Unitarian Universalist Church is just down the street. But he's part of the Open Table team. He's been here many times and really has gotten a passion, a personal passion for helping us stand against the legislation that is taking root in many states, and Ohio is not far behind. So he sent me this text. This week, Tuesday, there's a State Board of Education meeting that will have more public testimony regarding their anti-trans resolution. I can get more information out to you by email, but he said we need written comments by 5 p.m. today, or please show up in person to support all those speaking. So you can go to the State House on Tuesday, or not the State House. Well, I don't know. He did not tell me where they're meeting. Hold on, there's another way you'll find out. Do you know where it is? It's probably the same. Okay. I just wanted to be sure. Because on Wednesday then at the State House in Columbus, there's a committee meeting for House Bill 454 that's been roaming its way around, banning gender-affirming care. It's the only chance for public opposition testimony. So he said we need written statements or show up to support those who will be speaking and pack the State House with love. So Trent is in Breeze if you have a login for Breeze. So you can find his phone number and his email. If you don't, and you want to write something down, I'm going to tell it to you right now. And if you don't get it written, come see me after and I'll tell you again. But here it is. Trent, T-R-E-N-T, Koch, K-O-T-C-H, @gmail.com. And his phone number, if you want it. It's going out on Facebook Live right now. I never thought of that until now. Come see me if you want his phone number, and I'll tell you that. But that is an urgent need this week. And if anyone can respond to that and help, that would be great. There are QR codes in the back for giving. If you want to give it through PayPal, there's also a cash box that we'll take cash and checks. And there's a sign-up sheet. If you're not on our mailing list and you'd like to be, and you haven't gone to our website to do that, you can just leave some information there and we'll add you. And also, November 27th is our 4th Sunday of the month, so we're going to be out on mission together. But we're going to be doing all the out part through the month and be here on the 27th at 10:30, where we'll have a Christmas wrapping party. We did this last year, so it's a lot like that. We're going to have Christmas music and cookies and hot chocolate and coffee and such, and wear your favorite Christmas sweater or whatever, and bring items for 2 homeless families that we are helping this year with Christmas and food. All the sign-ups were sent out a couple days ago. They are also on our website, theopentablechurch.org/mission together. Or if page, it's pretty obvious which page that or where to click that. Kathy, do you need to say anything else about it? No, just sign up. So, yeah.
10 people that were buying.
We are buying gifts and food for 10 people, so go help that. All right.
I didn't see that, Dale. Did that go out already?
Yes.
Friday.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll check.
Okay. All right. So thank you again for ways that you're light in this world. Feel free to keep your eyes open or do whatever you want right now. But all-inclusive God, thank you for the lives of the saints, martyrs, ordinary people. They shine forever in your rainbow light. May they inspire us to live with courage and loving hearts. People like Abraham and Sarah, who left their home to follow a new divine vision. Miriam and Moses, who led their people through impossible odds.
There goes my heroes, they're ordinary.
And Joshua and Deborah, who showed us that big journeys start with small steps.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
And Paul and Silas, companions in adversity who shared good news with many.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Burger King drive-thru workers who give out some of the best soft-serve ice cream with a smile.
You guys got to sing it. You guys have to sing this with me. There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Hospice workers who bring companionship in time of death.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Nurses who care in the most dire moments.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
IT people who keep systems working like magic.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
St. Loretta Lynn and musicians who bring about change through notes.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saints of Stonewall who perform the miracle of transforming self-hatred into pride.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Michael Judge, chaplain who lost his life while ministering to others in the 9/11 terrorist attack.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Sebastian who by example gives courage to the downtrodden.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Marcia P. Johnson, Stonewall instigator, revolutionary black trans activist.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Francis of Assisi, nonconformist who loved all creation without limits.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Harvey Milk, martyr gay rights pioneer.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Simeon Bacchus, the Ethiopian eunuch, who was welcomed by the early church as part of God's creative diversity.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Matthew Shepherd, crucified by hate-filled men.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Alan Turing, who ended war, saved millions, changed the world.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Desmond Tutu, who taught that racism has no place in the human family.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
For the saints who paint lines on the road and keep us safer.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Pauli Murray, we join you in asking for a song of hope in a weary throat in a world where we can sing it.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saints Jean Manford and Adele Starr, co-founders of PFLAG, thank you for Saint Vida Dutton Scudder, educator, welfare activist, help us to be social reformers.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
For store clerks who smile and serve.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Saint Leslie Jordan, who brought joy to your fellow hunger downers.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
All who have lived and died for love, peace, and justice.
There go my heroes, they're ordinary.
Jesus, friend and liberator of outcasts, tortured and killed on the cross for loving beyond limits.
There go our heroes, they're ordinary.
Prophets in our midst usually get marginalized and thumped down by the powers that be. Thank you, Holy Sophia, wisdom, for blessing and encouraging them to witness and reveal aspects of your sweet mercy and love.
There go our heroes, they're ordinary.
And thank you, all great teachers, as we continue to grow in love.
There go our heroes, they're ordinary.
Now I invite you to come as you feel, I say led to, but as you want to, and remember people in your own life who have brought light, or in the world, someone that you just admire, and light a candle for them. Remember them. There are wooden sticks that you can use to light from one of the candles that are already lit. It takes a little moment, so just let it happen. And then you can light. So I invite you to come and do that at this time. So as Jesus sat down to eat with his disciples, he took the bread and he broke it, and he gave thanks. And then he passed it to his disciples, and he invited them to eat the bread of life. And next, he took the cup, and after he blessed it, he gave it to the disciples, and he said, "Drink, all of you. This is the new covenant poured out with abundant love and grace for all." And to the Christ, we thank you that you came into the world so we may have light and life. In the mystery of God, you called us to be light in the world because life is something to be shared. And with your compassion on the sick, the poor, and the outcast, you taught us what love is. And in the glory of your resurrection in Jesus, you demonstrated how far love will go. Love, life, light. You have given us a purpose in the world. And we give thanks that this table extends to every place, every home, and every group where 2 or 3 have gathered and where love is shared. Amen. So, Deb and I are going to stand here and invite you, once we get in place, to come forward. Everyone is welcome to come forward today and receive the bread and the cup. I will tear a piece of the bread and then dip it in the cup for you, and then you just eat that together. If you have a gluten allergy, there's gluten-free bread and a cup for you over here. And if you are uncomfortable coming forward for illness or whatever, any reason, there are little individual cups and elements that you can get and take back. I mean, if you don't want to come to the line where I'm serving, you can do that by taking that back to your seat where others. So I'd like
Come to me, all you who are weary, burdened, and I will give you rest.
Let's stand as we get ready to go out to all the places that you will be from. And I encourage you, be brave. And be kind.
So is everyone else.
If you want trans info, come see me later. Blessings.